Well, good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this very exciting launch that we've got planned and prepared for you. My name is Lerato Letebele Belandren, and I am the Head of Communications at the Center for Environmental Rights. We have got a very exciting program lined up for you all, and I hope you're all looking forward to it. Without any further ado, I'd like to hand over to Matome Kapa, the head of the Activist and Support and Training Program here at the Center for Environmental Rights, to tell us all about this launch and this exciting portal that he's been working on. Thanks, Matome.
Thank you very much, Lorato. As indicated, my name is Matome Kapa. I am the head of the Activist Support and Training Program at the Center for Environmental Rights. The inception of this reporting portal the ideas around it started sometime in 2014 when the Center for Environmental Rights was rolling out its environmental rights and remedies training to affected communities, mostly in Pumalanga, Limpopo, and the Northwest. What became apparent at those training was that affected communities are not aware, or some affected communities are not aware of violation reporting mechanisms that have been set up by government departments. And because they were not aware of these reporting mechanisms, most of them, they were not using them. So this left us with two problems, is that one, environmental violations are going unreported, and then two is that government departments do not have or do not receive correct data or information with regards to environmental violations on the ground in affected communities. So today we're launching this reporting portal with the hope that it will make it easier and more accessible for people in affected communities, in communities affected by environmental pollution and degradation, to articulate, to report, and to keep a record of environmental violations that have such adverse impacts on their lives. Please note that the Center for Environmental Rights with this portal is only acting as a conduit for violation reports. All the violations that will be reported through the portal will go directly to the relevant government department responsible. The Center for Environmental Rights will not be investigating any of the violations reports that are reported through the portal. However, what the Center for Environmental Rights may do is we will use data from the reporting, we will analyze data from the reporting portal in order to pull out some trends, and we will use those trends in order to assist us with high-level interventions, such as trying to ensure that government motivates for increased capacity and increased resources for compliance enforcement. This portal, as it stands, it's a pilot portal. We are still testing it out, and it will remain a work in progress as time goes by. We will be continuously looking at user experiences. We will be taking feedback from our partners, including government, in order to improve the portal to ensure that it's more user-friendly, and most importantly, it is effective in ensuring that affected communities are able to report environmental violations. I do not want to take up too much time because my task here was to welcome you and introduce you to the portal. So as my last bit of speech, what I will do is I will just give thanks. Firstly, I'll give thanks to the Center for Environmental Rights team that worked tirelessly in making this portal a reality today. Your work is valued and your work is appreciated. And we would like to give thanks to the government departments that assisted us, that collaborated with us in making this portal a reality as well. These government departments, namely the DMRE, the TFFE, and the DWS, what these government departments have done is a true act that will ensure that South African communities will be able to realize their right to an environment that is not harmful to their health and well-being. And my final thanks goes to Dugelo Mahlakwane and Zethu Tlajoyo, who are environmental justice activists on the ground who risk it all to ensure that their communities have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and a clean environment to prosper. And to the rest of you joining us on this webinar, I would like to say you are welcome. It is an absolute honor to have you, and we look forward to your engagement. Thank you, and back to you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Madume. And yes, please do take notes of any questions and any comments that you will have during this time, as we will definitely open it up for a Q&A and a discussion with our colleagues who are here, as well as members from the departments who are joining us. And now I'd like to actually hand over to one of our Center for Environmental Rights attorneys, Tatenda, who is here to tell us more about the work that the center is doing in relation to compliance, monitoring, and enforcement. Over to you, Tatenda.
Thanks, Lerato. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the CR launch of the Environmental Violations Portal. As already mentioned, my name is Tatenda Mponde, and I am an attorney designate in the mining program at the CR. I'm pleased to be here and to talk to you about some of the work that CR has been doing on environmental compliance, monitoring, and enforcement. As we all know, the Constitution confers everyone a right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being, and to have the environment protected for both present and future generations. Environmental compliance, monitoring, and enforcement is a vital tool to ensure that statutory requirements are met and companies fulfill their obligations in their licenses and in terms of environmental laws, thus protecting people's environmental rights. Since 2014, the CR has been doing some work tracking the capacity of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy and the Department of Water and Sanitation to undertake compliance, monitoring, and enforcement activities of mining companies in the Pumalanga region. The purpose of this work is to see whether the departments are properly capacitated to undertake this work and how much compliance, monitoring, and enforcement work they can do in any given year. In 2016, the CR published a report titled 0 Hour, Poor Governance in Mining and the Violation of Environmental Rights in Pumalanga. The report documents the CME activities of both the Department of Mineral Resources and the DWS, and highlights how non-compliance with environmental laws has led to unprecedented environmental degradation and chronic health problems in Pumalanga, with dire consequences for communities and South Africa's future prosperity. Some of the key findings from 0 Hour were the following. In terms of capacity, the report found that there's not enough qualified and experienced officials in the DMRE and DWS to ensure the enforcement of legislation and the protection of environmental rights. The capacity constraints within the departments have a direct bearing on administrative enforcement. 0 Hour highlighted that too few inspections had been conducted and too few notices, that is compliance notices and directives, had been issued, which was in stark contrast with obvious non-compliance in the region. In terms of criminal enforcement, there was evidence of incapacity, and 0 Hour showed that little to no criminal enforcement was undertaken by the departments. Since the publication of 0 Hour in 2016, the CR has continued to track the environmental CME of the departments at mines. In 2019, using the Promotion of Access to Information Act, that is the PIA Act, the CR asked the DMRE about its capacity to undertake inspections and any necessary enforcement action in the 2017 to 2019 financial years. The information supplied by the DMRE showed that there had not been any significant improvement in the DMRE's capacity to conduct environmental compliance, monitoring and enforcement since 2016. For example, As at 31 March 2019, the number of staff employed by the DMRE who had been designated as EMRIs in terms of Section 31BB of NEMA was 108. According to the DMRE website, there's a total of 1,856 mines in South Africa that are operational. With that number of operational mines, 108 EMRIs is woefully inadequate to ensure that mining companies are complying with their environmental licenses. This reality is cast into sharp relief in Pumalanga, with 235 non-operational mines, yet only 10 EMREs were designated in the province. This means that the EMREs would have to monitor 23 mines each, which is a high target if each EMRE is properly trained, resourced, and dedicated full-time to compliance monitoring and enforcement. However, if we add unauthorized mines in the province and the hundreds of derelict and ownerless mines, the task of monitoring and enforcing compliance with environmental licenses and laws will become impossible for these EMRIs. Further, in terms of inspections, whereas some provinces, such as the Western Cape, showed a slight increase in the number of inspections that were conducted in the 2017 to 2019 financial years, the records show a decrease in the number of inspections undertaken by the DMRE in 6 of our 9 provinces. For example, in the 2017 to 2018 financial year, 167 inspections were undertaken in Pumalanga, and this number reduced to 115 inspections in the 2018 to 2019 financial years. That is less than half of the licensed mines that were inspected during that time. Further, 253 inspections in the financial year of 2017-2018 and 292 inspections in the financial year of 2018 to 2019 were prompted by public complaints against illegal mining activities. According to the respective annual reports, the DMRE responded to only 50% of these complaints, received in the financial year of 2017 to 2018. And of those complaints and inspections that were undertaken as a result of those complaints, only 25% of those inspections were finalized. The department indicated that this underachievement was due to the backlog of complaints received. The information gathered in the 2 reports highlight that the departments are highly incapacitated, which then affects their ability to properly undertake compliance monitoring enforcement activities in the mining industry, an industry that wreaks some of the most extreme environmental damage in our country. As a result of this, the CR has been trying to engage with the departments to find ways in which we can all work together to ensure proper compliance monitoring enforcement and reporting is undertaken. Part of this engagement has led to the establishment of the Environmental Violations Portal, a portal that will make the reporting of environmental violations easier and accessible and will hopefully result in increased reporting, particularly from directly affected communities. Our hope is that this will cause the department to train and employ more inspectors, thereby increasing their capacity to undertake CME work. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tatenda. If anyone is looking to a reference to the report that Tatenda was mentioning, I have put it on our chat there, so please feel free to go in there as well as to look at some of the work that our mining program does. And of course, you know, a lot of the work that we do, we would not be able to do it without the tireless work that our community activists do in their own communities. And now I would like to actually welcome Zetu and Tukelo to come and share with us some of their experiences. Over to you. I'll go to Zetu first.
Amanda, I hope I'm audible enough.
Yeah, thank you, Zetu.
Okay, first and foremost, my name is Zetu Hlajwayo. I'm the spokesperson for Kutara Environmental Care Group, which is an environmental care group that was established in the year 2000. And I'm also the co-founder of Riashuma Academy of Learning. We are based in Wesselton in Ermelo, Mpumalanga. So I'm going to share with you, just in a nutshell, our community struggle. Our community has been suffering and struggling with regards to the rehabilitation of abandoned mines. Sorry, one specific mine I will speak about is Imbabala mine, which was abandoned in the year 2012. The situation there has been very bad because the mine has claimed almost more than 12 young people that were swimming in those pit holes because the mine didn't rehabilitate those mines. They just left the mines with more than 7 open pits as huge as a football field. And these pits are filled with contaminated water, filled with AMD. And this mine, we have been struggling with it. We have been trying to report this. Funny enough, this mine is just adjacent or front opposite the Department of Environmental Affairs on a district level. So this has been happening in front of the Department of Environmental Affairs. The land usually or previously belonged to that to the Department of Environmental Affairs, and it was sold to the mine, that mine, and left the mine abandoned like that. So that is one issue that we've been struggling with. The other mine that we are struggling with is Goldview mine, which is on the other side of town. This mine was abandoned. Also, it was abandoned in 2015. Unfortunately, when the mine was abandoned, we are not sure whether the mine started burning before the mine left, or the mine or the fire started burning. But the mine is burning underground since 2015, and this fires has been releasing toxic gases day and night, uncontrolled fires that has been happening there. And as you know, that we are living in the Highveld region, which is a high priority area that was declared in the year almost a decade ago. But the situation there has been escalating over since. So this is what we have been doing as a community of Ermelo and Wesselton and Kuthala specifically, to try and find justice where justice was not seen, was not done at all. So we've written petitions that were submitted to also Parliament. We've been submitting these petitions to we attach the petitions to all the complaints that letters. These are the people that we wrote letters or complained to. We complained to the Department of Environmental Affairs. We complained to the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. We complained to the local municipality. We complained to the district municipality. Also complained to the compliance office working for the province. But in all our complaints, only one complaint fell to ears that were able to listen. Only DMRE came back to us and offered us an opportunity to have a sit down to talk about these issues that I have raised with you. But the other thing that we've done, we've also made sure that we used the media to escalate our voices, to escalate our issues, to find the culprits, because the situation of the matter is that you find that one man called Robert Nittman cannot be found in South Africa, who is the business rescue practitioner for Imbabala mine. So it's been a challenge for us to try and track those people. So we've been using the media to try to expose. We've used all kind of media, from the local media. Fortunately, we have 2 radio stations. Every time when we have anything that has to do with our raising awareness and advocacy campaigns, we make sure we invite those the media companies. So what we have realized was that we've done that. We also done exceptionally very good report with organizations such as Groundwork. When we're looking at the destruction of the Highveld part 1, you will realize that these mines, we've been complaining about this mine, we've been raising awareness, and there's been reports and court cases where CR intervened and assist us with specifically Goldview mine. But the situation is that after that is done, we are still here. We are stuck with the situation whereby these mines are still continuing to claim lives of innocent people. You know, they are still polluting the environment and the air that you are breathing. As you know, that there is this a landmark case that you are also busy with, trying to push the government to enforce the law as far as equality is concerned here in the Highveld region, which is the high priority area. So we managed to get a DMRE to sit down with them. We had a delegation when we went to DMRE. We didn't just go as an organization, but we made sure that we had a strong delegation of the people that some of them are victims. They have their houses cracked by the mine when it was still operating. Some of them lost their children there. We also included our ward councillor to that meeting that set in the DMRE on the 5th of August. This was 2019. And then on that meeting, we talked about these issues, that we have the situation of these mines that have been left unrehabilitated, and they are costing lives as we speak, and we needed action to come from them. So what we also requested them was that as an intervention was supposed to be taken by the DMRE to at least try to contain the area and make it a bit safer, and then also initiate a process of finding the people that must supposed to rehabilitate, because according to our knowledge, we know that there's a rehabilitation fund that is supposed to be laid aside. What we found out there was that only 600,000 was left behind as a provision fund for the rehabilitation of Imbabala. But when you look at the damage that is done there, it will cost more than 450 million to try and rehabilitate that land. So that money can only fence the land that is currently claiming lives. So after reporting to the DM, after a meeting with the DMRE, we also requested that the DMRE must stop talking from the office point of view. They must come to the ground and see what we feel and be where we live. That request was followed by a site inspection by the DMRE, which was on the 18th of August, which included a senior inspectors, the environmental officer, and also included inspectors. But what transpired on that day was that the DMRE saw the damage, and they also declared. We also made sure that we include the local councillors, 3 of the councillors, that because this mine, specific mine, is in the center of the community, so there are also communities that are around there. So we had a delegation. We did the inspection. That inspection, the DMRE prioritized that area, that Imbabala mine, as a high-risk area needing urgent attention. So we agreed with the DMRE that we are going to have a monthly engagement going forward to try and resolve this situation. But unfortunately, that was the end of it. We never got anything. The only thing that we have now is just the report, and that our issues have been raised to the national government. So from there, there's nothing that has been happening. We are still stuck with the problems. That's why communities are taking initiative to do something about the damage. But just in closing, I would just want to raise that the issues that I'm raising specifically with this abandoned mine that are left underground burning and left with this, as life continues, because now it's also COVID-19, the situation is escalating out of control, and we find that if nothing is done, and in the absence of justice, communities are left with no choice but to take proactive action to try and resolve the situation. And hopefully a portal like this is going to be assisting us going forward, so that we can report these issues to the relevant authorities. Hopefully, they will be able to answer or to respond to some of these things, because some of the time, most of the time, we report about these issues. You put also articles, you put petitions, you support with everything, but nothing. You are met with absolute silence. There's no response from them. So we are hoping that through portal like this and organizations such as CR, we will be able to do justice where justice was not done. But the situation, I can tell you, I wish to invite you also to see for yourself, because the situation at Coldview is getting way out of control, and people will die if nothing is done. I thank you very much. I hope I didn't take all of the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zetu. Of course, it's always important to give space and to hear exactly, the issues that are actually happening in the community. So we thank you for sharing your story with us, and of course, highlighting the importance of having such a portal, which will hopefully make things a lot easier for people to be able to report the degradation they're seeing in the environment, in their communities. And I'll quickly hand over to Tukelo to share with us his thoughts. Over to you, Tukelo.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone see me, but I'm going to take my video off. Yeah, thanks, Larato and CR team. My name is Tukel Matlakwana. I'm from Skutlong in Murok village, and Fetahumutubat local municipality in Skukune district. I'm under the organization called MAKEP, Mining Affected Community Advocacy Project. Skutlong is a small village. It's next to mine called Twickenham. The community, they're depending on fetching water from the river called Motse. And the river is polluted by the toxic exit that is coming from underground of the Twickenham mine. I started to be an activist in the year of 2015, and I started to monitor the environment in the year of 2016, where we found that there is a chemicals that coming from underground of Twickenham mine to our main river called Motse, as I said. So we as the resident of Skutlong, we experience headache and stomach running after drinking that water. And we also, after bathing, you experience skill itching. So on that time, we were not aware or realizing what the cause of the itching and stomach running. And until we found that there is a discharge upper stream that is coming from the mine. So I once interviewed, because there's a fathers and mothers who done the gardens, and they're irrigating those vegetables with that contaminated water. I once interviewed one of them, and they told me that they are surprised because these days they are not producing the quality, the good product actually, after using that water. So now they must buy water to irrigate those vegetables. So I once write an email to the Department of Water and Sanitation at the Director General in Limpopo Province, and then also to the Chief Director. Towards the end of 2018, after attending the R&R course, to write that email, I was guided by the Constitution of South Africa and checking on Section 27 and Section 28 of NEMA, because it's where I realized that our rights as a resident of Skutlong are violated by this pollution. So within some 14 working days, they did respond me. I called by the guy called Mr. Lerutla. He called me and arranged to come to my place. He did come, and that time he said, no, I just came to take a statement and see what are you talking about. And then I explained everything, that we've been using this water since I was born. I grew up drinking the water from the river, and that time it was drinkable. But after some years, like since 2016, the water is not drinkable at all. and it's not healthy to our environment, to our health, and especially. So this guy said, no, I'll come back, and took samples. I'll report it to my office and see what to do. It didn't took a lot of time. He called me again and come and took samples to that stream. So since that, he never come back to me. At the beginning of 2019, I also write the email again to request the result. No one responded me until today. So this matter, I didn't report it to DWS only to the municipalities, because I elected to be in what committee in the year of 2017. It's where I started to report this case during the meetings. So the councillors know our issue. I remember the one of CDW agreed with me when I report this pollution, and she said no, she do know the pollution, but she denied to agree with me when I say this pollution is caused by the Twickenham mine. So I realized they are protecting each other. So I once reported this thing to Mr. Letwaba. He's from Department of Water and Sanitation in Sekhukhune district. So this guy, he also knows the issue. But what is surprising is that they don't do anything about the matter. The community of Sekhukhune still suffering with the water, and even today. So now we are living with buying water. We don't have a water. We are buying water, and that water is very expensive. And during this COVID-19, it's very difficult for us to wash our hands and do other stuff, because we spend 250 to 300 per month so that we can survive having a clean water. So imagine those families who don't have money to buy those water, they go straight to the river. What they do, they pour jig inside the water. Before you can drink it, they can boil it. So, and it comes to the point that we don't know how to measure the jig to maybe to make a water to be drinkable, understand? So it's very difficult to us, and the mine together with the DMR to DMR actually and DWS, they're really failing us, because it come to my attention and ask myself, does the DMR monitoring the license that they give the mines now? Because if they really monitor, they should see the pollution that is happening around our village. They should access or assist the community to have a clean water. And I once approached the Twickenham mine and asked them if they can do a borehole for the community. Even today, at the time I was having a meeting with them, they agreed. Actually, they give me 2 weeks. They say, no, within 2 weeks, we'll come to your village and see what to do, and then we'll take it from there. Even today, I'm still waiting there. So really, our government, they don't care about affected communities. They don't follow the Watobelo principle. They don't follow the constitution that guiding us as citizens. So I can leave for now. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tugelo. And of course, you know, the reasons why we're having this portal is so that we can find a way to actually support the departments who are also trying to do their best in terms of, you know, alleviating some of these issues that we're seeing in the communities and in the environment. And now I think a bit of an exciting part of the program is to actually show you a demonstration of how the platform is going to work. And I'm going to play us a short video, which I hope you'll all enjoy, just to see exactly how the platform works. And hopefully everybody after this can actually go on there and actually start using the platform. So let's watch that video.
Section 24 of the South African Constitution says that everyone has the right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being, and to have the environment protected for the benefit of present and future generations. Are you or your community experiencing environmental violations that are harmful and that affect your rights as provided for by Section 24? The Center for Environmental Rights has launched an environmental violations portal to report and direct complaints about violations to the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, DMRE, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, DFFE, and the Department of Water and Sanitation, DWS. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy is a department of the National Government of South Africa, which is responsible for overseeing the mining industry of South Africa and the exploitation of the country's mineral resources. It is also responsible for monitoring and enforcing compliance with environmental laws applicable to mining. The Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment is responsible for protecting, conserving and improving the South African environment and natural resources. It is also responsible for monitoring and enforcing compliance with all national environmental laws. The Department of Water and Sanitation is the custodian of South Africa's water resources. The department strives to ensure that all South Africans gain access to clean water and dignified sanitation. It is also responsible for monitoring and enforcing compliance with water laws. The portal to report violations was developed in consultation with all three departments. To report a violation, all you need to do is follow these steps. Go to www.cer.org.za/report violation. Does the violation you want to report involve mining? Then click on the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy tab. Does your violation involve but is not limited to illegal dumping, illegal development, air pollution, hazardous waste, possession of wild animals without a permit, poaching, or infestation of alien invasive species, etc.? Then click on the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment tab, or call the department's environmental hotline 0800 205 005. Or does your violation involve water? Then click on the Department of Water and Sanitation tab, or call the department's hotline 0800 200 200. Provide as much detail as possible when filling in each box on the form. Under what, describe the violation or grievance. Insert pictures showing the violation. Under where, provide details of where the violation is taking place, the name of the area or community. If possible, please include coordinates. Under when, indicate when the incident took place. Include specific dates if possible. Under who, give details of who the cause of the grievance is. Is it an individual or a company? Under impacts, describe how the violations are affecting you or your community. Add your full details to allow the departments to contact you when necessary. You can indicate if you would like to remain anonymous by ticking in this box. Please make sure that you have filled in every box before submitting. After submitting the form, you will receive a confirmation email with a reference number and a password that you can use to either review or follow up on your complaint should you not receive a response. Your violation has successfully been submitted to the department. Thank you for standing up for your environmental rights. The CER provides and supports this reporting platform for violations to assist with the appropriate format, contents, and the destination of the complaints. All reports are automatically submitted to the selected departments. The CER does not facilitate any engagements between someone reporting a complaint and the government department to whom the report is submitted. Follow-up queries regarding reported violations must be addressed to the relevant departments using the reference number generated when a report is submitted.
Thank you. Thank you all. If anyone had issues with seeing the video or hearing it, we'll definitely have another round of playing it again before we close up the event today. And all the details will be up on our social media platforms as well as on our website. And they definitely, I've just put up a link there for all our YouTube channels. And now, of course, we'd like to hand over to our guests from the department, and I will hand over to Thobeka to introduce our guests to us. Over to you, Thobeka.
Thank you, Lerato. So we'd like to thank our departments for joining us today, but also they were also part of the development of this very portal that we have today. They made some contributions, and we thought that it would be worth having them here today to kind of explain to us, how their own reporting system works, so that we have a better understanding. We've heard from the communities that they have tried various ways to report to the departments, but sometimes we also don't understand the positions that they're in, the challenges that they have with the reporting system. So I'd like to first introduce Mr. Aron Kariva from the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, who was also with his colleagues, met with us in giving us inputs on the portal. So I'll hand over to you, Mr. Kariva, just for those 10 minutes to explain your own systems within the DMRE. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thobeka, and good morning, everyone. As already indicated, my name is Aron Kariva. I'm the Director for Environmental Compliance and Enforcement in the department. With me is Mr. Sibongiseni Mthembu, who was also part of the process throughout. He works with complaints management within our environmental compliance and enforcement. So I'll just briefly take you through what the Chief Directorate under which we report and deals with, and then I'll dwell more on what the Directorate deals with. The Chief Directorate Compliance and Enforcement was established to deal specifically with environmental related matters, in particular environmental compliance by the mining industry, and for the enforcement of the provisions of the National Environmental Management Act. As the DMRE is the competent authority in terms of NEMA, in line with our one environmental system. So ordinarily you would know that the DMRE is known for implementing your Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act, the Mine Health and Safety Act, but this specific Chief Directorate deals specifically with aspects in relation to NEMA, as already indicated. So in terms of the structure, the Chief Directorate Compliance and Enforcement has two directorates or components, being the Directorate Environmental Compliance and Enforcement, which I am the director thereof, and there's also a criminal enforcement, which the director is Mr. Shadrach Nkuna. Mr. Nkuna just joined us last month, and I will since be pursuing aspects relating to criminal enforcement. As I've already indicated, largely the Chief Director and the Directorate Environmental Compliance and Enforcement deals largely with monitoring the compliance with the terms and conditions of the environmental authorization by the holders of mining rights, prospecting rights, and mining permit. And we also attend to complaints relating to unauthorized commencement of listed activities, meaning if someone commences with mining or prospecting without an environmental authorization, such a complaint shall be related to this specific unit. We also pursue the investigations in relation to the aforementioned aspects which are related, as well as instituting the administrative and criminal measures by means of, administratively, we issue a compliance notice, a directive, in terms of Section 31 of NEMA, as well as Section 28 thereof. That's largely what our mandate revolves on. So there's a standardized manner through which we deal with complaints or reporting of complaints or matters. And these are briefly the steps that we largely utilize. The complaints can be lodged electronically or manually with our complaints management unit, which is led by Mr. Sibongiseni Mthembu, whom I've introduced earlier on. So electronically, we've established an email address that can be used for lodgement of these complaints, and it's limacomplaints@dmre.gov.za. We'll also share this, and we've also shared the same with the CER earlier on. So because we are appreciative of the fact that not everyone would have access to technology, we also have an alternative, although usually people utilize the electronic means, but we still welcome cases where someone would want to manually lodge a complaint should they be in a position to visit our office here in Pretoria. There's a specific form in respect of which the details shall be completed. So we'll also share the same later on, but in the event where you are unable to lodge the complaint through the NEMA complaints at DMRE, you can opt for this aspect. So what happens is once a complaint has been received, the department will make an acknowledgement of such of receipt of such a complaint, and the matter will be assigned to the environmental mineral resources inspector. We've assigned inspectors for different regions. You know, we've got 9 regions, which is in line with the 9 provinces that exist in the country. So we'll assign that EMRI with the complaint in question. Then the inspector to whom the complaint has been assigned will liaise with the complaint to require any specific details that might be useful in the investigation of such a matter. Then subsequent to that, an inspection or investigation will be conducted accordingly. And based on the findings, the outcome of the inspection or investigation will be communicated to the complainant, including but not limited to the administrative and criminal measures to be taken or that has been taken relating to the matter, in relation to the matter. After all the steps are satisfactorily undertaken and the feedback has been provided to the complainant in this regard, then the matter can be considered for closure. And if the complainant is satisfied with the matter in question, then the matter will be closed accordingly. Then the nature of complaints that are dealt with by the complaint and enforcement, and you would appreciate that mining deals with a wide range of issues or matters. So as I've emphasized earlier, our role relates to aspects in relation to, and in particular, infringements or complaints in relation to violation or contravention of the legislation from the operational aspect. I'm emphasizing that aspect because there will be complaints relating to application processes, including applications for environmental authorities. Those are not dealt with by this unit. What does this unit deal with? This unit deals with complaints relating to commencement with illicit activities without environmental authorization, or illicit mining, or illegal mining as it's sometimes called. But this also includes cases where a legal holder of a right might commence with an activity for which, illicit activity for which the environmental authorization has not been granted. That can still be investigated. And what we also do is all environmental violations by holders of mining rights, mining permits of prosperity, which includes any incident of excessive environmental damage, degradation or pollution by such holders, So those are aspects that are dealt with by this unit. So in relation, but as I need to also emphasize that this unit does not do, if you have complaints in relation to other aspects relating to SLP and others, I'll explain later on how to deal with that, because they do not fall under this, but I'll highlight them now on the challenges. And these challenges are only in relation to external factors that makes it difficult at times for us to investigate. So I will not dwell on some operational and internal aspects that constitute challenges that we deal with separately. When complaints are lodged, you usually find that insufficient details regarding the affected area, especially on the illicit operation, are not finished, and this makes it very difficult for the inspectors to can investigate the matter accordingly in light of lack of appropriate details. Secondly, the aspects of unreachable complaints. You tend to find the situation when a complaint is lodged, and when the inspectors or investigators are attempting to investigate, they make several attempts to reach out to such complainants, and there's just element of non-response. So that makes it very difficult for us to investigate accordingly. Then thirdly, the unclear details regarding this. So, you know, when a complaint is made, it's just a broad complaint without dwelling much. I mean, I took note of the presentations made earlier by Mr. Shatwaya and Ms. Shakwada. Yeah, at least you could sense and get an understanding of as it relates to the mining operations which were being referred to, what exactly needs to be investigated. So it really assists if one can furnish the appropriate details, so that in preparation we can also dwell on those aspects as it relates to the terms and conditions of such an operation. Then the other aspect is we've been receiving what we label as misplaced complaints. As I said earlier on, our mandate is limited to certain aspects. So you tend to receive several complaints relating to mishandling of communities trust, whether arrangements or agreements between the affected community and the mining company in question, non-implementation of the social and labor plan, and all sorts of other mining-related aspects, which, as I said earlier on, do not fall under this directorate. So should people or our communities have any concerns in that regard, will advise them to relate such to the regional manager of that particular office. And if it's concerns related to application, if it's MPRDA and you're still within a period of lodging a complaint, if you feel that we're not consulted or any aspect that relates to application, you will need to lodge that with our legal services. If it's on an environmental authorization, the competent authority is the Minister of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries. Even if that decision is made by the DMRE, you need to lodge the appeal with the appeals unit within DFFE. I just thought it's important to clarify those aspects. In conclusion, we really welcome the establishment of this portal, and we believe it will certainly assist a great deal, because our communities are being deprived at times, or there could be limited knowledge on how to go about engaging the relevant authorities, including the DMRE directly. So we believe this will assist and ensure that there's an element of transparency on how matters are investigated and dealt with the aim of ensuring that we protect the rights of the disadvantaged and all the affected parties accordingly. So we believe this will assist in advancing and broadening the platform meant to deal with complaints and ensure that matters are properly dealt with, and there's responsiveness and as far as complaints are concerned. And the polluter-based principle is effected accordingly, and we ensure that holders of rights cannot get away with environmental violations in this regard. So we highly commend the creation of this portal, and we believe it will serve to assist the communities to express their concerns accordingly. On that note, thank you very much, Tobeka and the CR team for that, and we believe this will assist a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aron.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kariva. I'd like to just also hand over now to the Department of Water and Sanitation. We have today with us Ms. Thandi Mopai and Mr. Philemon. So I'm not sure how you guys would like to do it, but I'll just hand over to you to decide who's going to undertake the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Thandi Mopai. I'm the Director Enforcement in the Department of Water and Sanitation, based in the National Office. What I just want to indicate is that in the department, we do have two legislation, that is the National Water Act and the Water Services Regulation. Currently, the department is in the process of, we have a bill where we are trying to make one legislation, because as enforcement, it's very difficult to deal with, especially water services regulation complaints, because there are no offenses and there are no penalties there. So it's the issue that we are looking at. I know that Philemon Pahlele will take us through the process of the complaint management, but those are the challenges that I want to highlight, that we are working on them as a Department of Water and Sanitation. So without wasting any time, I would like to give to Philemon to take you through how we are handling the complaints within the department, though they are not only the enforcement, they are not only for mine for now, because others, we don't have the offenses to deal with, but it's a challenge that we are working and that we have highlighted as a department. Philemon, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mama Pai. Good morning to our facilitator, Lerato, and everyone that is taking part into this wonderful, initiative of creating additional, portal where people can, lodge their complaint. I don't know if Lerato, you can be able to assist me in sharing. There is a presentation that I would want to share with everyone, just to take you through how we are actually how we actually dealing with complaints that are coming through. Lerato, will you be able to assist me? Because I tried to share here, I see.
Okay, try it one more time. I've given you sharing powers there, Philemon.
Okay, perfect. Okay, there you go. Okay, great. Okay, just. Okay, great stuff. Maybe because everybody have seen my face, can I just switch off the camera for now, and then I will focus on the presentation. Okay, colleagues and everyone, today I'm going to take you through this presentation. As I've indicated, we will be looking into how the department is actually dealing with the complaints that are coming through. And let me go to the next slide. Let me just check if I can be able to. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to move the slides. It seems like my control, just see. Okay, there you go. All right, the content of the presentation, basically we look at the objective, the background, the principles that we upholding in dealing with complaints and referring and reporting procedure. Basically, as I've indicated, we look at how the department deal with the complaints that are coming through of suspected non-compliance, pollution-related complaints, emergency incidents that are, contravening the water-related legislations that are received. The complaints that we refer to, they may vary. I will just show you type of, water use activities that are there that you can report if they are suspected to be non-compliant. And also the trigger for these complaints that are coming through, they may come from various sources. We have complaints that are coming directly from the public and other external stakeholders. And we are dealing with complaints that are routed through our internal structures. As we know that our processes, they are triggered by, some of them are triggered by internal structures. And also we have the EMI network that may pick up some of these complaints. And also what is of importance, we have a call center that deals with the receiving of complaints. I will later show you in terms of the key role players in terms of who is responsible for dealing with these complaints at the later stage. I just thought of sharing with you this slide in terms of showing you the water use activities that are there and where you may pick up that some of these water use activities are unauthorized and who are our users. We have our agricultural water users, which are they are using most of our water. We have industry, we have domestic, and also we have mining, which is not part of this slide here. And most of these users, the sectors, they trigger Section 21 water uses. And in addition to that, we have pollution-related cases that are, for instance, if we have spillages into our water resources, that also it's a trigger in terms of, if you pick up something like that on the ground, it can be, those activities can be reported to the department. Okay, in terms of the principles that we are upholding, we want to keep an effective and prompt response to complaints that are received. And I think this portal, one of the things that I liked about it is once a complaint is lodged using that platform, the information can immediately be available to the department responsible so that they can act on it. So the prompt response is very important, and avoiding duplication of effort by different components within the department. What we are trying to do, ensure that we coordinate a well-planned investigation in respect of each complaint, because we want all the units that within the department are well coordinated. Those who are responsible to play a certain role in a specific complaint, they need to be part of. Once that is coordinated and the outcome, it becomes more focused and we don't create more duplications. These are the principles that we are upholding in terms of handling the complaints. Okay, I touched earlier in terms of the call center agents that are there. These people is our front line. This is the receiving authority. Basically, they will receive an array of complaints, talking to water services, water resources, payments of invoice and other, complaints that are coming through. What this call center agents will do, they will look at specifically that complaint, who will be the responsible person. Where we come in is the second line there, where we deal with complaints that are triggered that deals with the water resources. And we have a head office champion. We have a system, internal system, we call it the ECMS, the Enforcement Case Management System. And this person, the champion within this network of the system, will ensure that the cases is registered. And once that case is registered, it creates a unique sort of case number, which will automatically, assign an official on the ground to be able to, respond to the complaint. Some of the responsibility of the champion is to validate the cases that are registered, to assess the mandate, and report on the registered cases, assigning of complaints, and close the complaint. Okay. And in each and every office, we have a regional ECMS champion, which are located within the provinces. And the same responsibility that the head office champion is having, it will be duplicated in the regions. So that to ensure that whatever that is received within the region, it's been registered and validated and taken through all those steps that I've indicated there. And also, once the case has been registered, as I've indicated, immediately it gets assigned to a official within the regional office, and they will get an email notification, and they will respond to that case immediately. And in terms of receiving of the complaint, okay, I've indicated it may come through the media, the public, and some of the section 19 or 20 report, as we know that our water users, should they have an incident, the section 19 is the incidents that may happen in the area of operation. It is expected from the water users that they need to report those incidents to the department. And the person receiving the complaint will register the complaint, and it will have its own unique case ID, which will be assigned to an official in the province. And the receiving authority is responsible also to review and assess for mandate, because some of these complaints that we are receiving, sometimes you will find that it speaks to a certain authority. It is not necessarily a water matter. So we have to make sure that we deal with the issues that are within our area of operation, and also look at the agency. Because the agency will indicate in terms of our service delivery standard, the turnaround time in responding to those complaints. The nature of it, if it's a section 20, we are expected to swiftly respond to it on the ground as soon as possible. And we look at the actual potential impact that complaint is posing on our water resource. And the mandate, the ECMS champion will determine the primary mandate. And if it does not fall within the mandate of the department, the case will be referred to the responsible authority, and then an acknowledgement letter needs to be, we have to ensure that it is sent so that the complainant is well aware in terms of who will be responsible for taking or investigating their complaint, as it will be referred to a different responsible authority. And also the case will be closed, and so that we can have track of that complaint that it has been referred. And if the reported complaint falls within our mandate, and we proceed in ensuring of determining the agency, I've touched on it earlier, and thereafter further action needs to be taken based on that assessment that would have been taken in terms of the agency. And then the case will be allocated to a case officer in the region immediately. Once it's registered, immediately it becomes available there. An email gets sent to that person so that they can respond to it and notify all the relevant role players. I've spoken about the principle that we are actually gunning to adhere to, of ensuring that our efforts are well coordinated, because some of these complaints, they trigger certain sort of responsibilities within various units within the department. So those efforts needs to be well coordinated. And then thereafter, the case officer will make sure that they acknowledge the complaint so that the complainant will know that who is the person that is handling the case that I'm dealing with. And the case officer will investigate. And in rectification measures will be taken thereafter based on the findings of the investigation. We have different processes that we can institute, and these processes can run concurrently, or we can decide that we're going to do the criminal investigation, or we're going to do administrative enforcement action, or we can take civil action against the person that is implicated. And it is also important to note that these processes, they are also dependent on other law enforcement agencies to ensure, like for instance, if it's a criminal matter, the South African Police Service, they will play a certain role with us as the department to ensure that the cases, they get to be ready for prosecution. And the subs, they are also, should be involved there. And as the department, we are also dependent on the national NPA to decide whether to prosecute or not. So those are the other sort of enforcement agencies that we are dependent on in assisting us to get to a finality of the case. And if the enforcement action is taken, the case officer must monitor compliance. Some of these administrative actions that are taken, there are commitments, for instance, in a form of directive and notices. In those commitments, that those directives that we indicate, that the users often they come to us and they give us an action plan, and ensuring that they rectify the contravention on the ground, and the case officer will ensure that they monitor whatever commitments in a form of action plan that they will be committed there. And the case officer will be responsible to ensure that that information is updated on our system, so that that information can be available to everyone that is having interest in the matter, and also providing feedback within the reasonable time, and reasonable feedback to be given to the complainant, and that feedback has to be given when that action is taken, and also what is the final outcome on the matter. And in the case whereby the complainant is anonymous, feedback should be provided through that hotline, so that they can also have an indication that that matter has been resolved. And some of the challenges I would like to highlight, and I think the portal that we are introducing today will address, like there is inadequate knowledge of who is the responsible authority. Some of these complaints that are coming in, you will find that they fall within the local government, and they are reported to the department, even though the department within the water services, they are responsible to ensure that that complaint is dealt with adequately. But the person who, or the authority, responsible authority that will ensure that that matter is taken care of, will be at the local level, for instance. So another challenge that is there is the Section 20 incidents that are not reported on time. You know that once, as an example, there is a spillage of a truck transporting a acidic substance that spill into the river. If we don't respond on time, that pollution you would have like migrated, and sometimes it's difficult to actually come up with the evidence that will, be able to, if should we prosecute, that it will assist us in getting to that point. So these are the problems that we are experiencing, or maybe a complaint comes to us, a complaint of that nature, as an example, comes to us maybe 3 weeks later. And then when our colleagues respond to it, you will find that the damage would have been done, and then that pollution is not contained as it's supposed to be. And also the issue of the fragmented and insufficient information, it's a problem. I see that the portal is addressing these key important questions. Where is the problem happening, or the pollution, or whatever the case might be? When did that happen, and what and who is responsible, and how did that happen? That information, sometimes it might not be all questions might not be answered here, but at least if we know where that is and when did that happen, and it assists in the turnaround time in dealing with the complaint itself. So this is where you can report this water-related crimes. We have our call center number, a hotline number, 0800-200. And we also have the DWS email, which is the customercare@dws.gov.za. So yeah, that's basically what I have prepared to share with you, colleagues, and everyone. And I hope this presentation is helpful, and we encourage people on the ground to use the portal, so that we can be able to coordinate our efforts in such a way that we are effective in dealing with the complaints. Thank you very much, Lerato. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Philemon. And just a note there that there are people who are definitely interested in seeing your presentation, so I hope you can send it to us after this. Thank you. Over to you, Tobeka.
Thanks, Lerato. So the last person who will be presenting from the departments is Mamelato. Thank you for availing yourself, Mamelato. She's having issues on her side, there are protests, so she had to quickly find an alternative option. So I will be sharing the screen on her presentation, and then she'll talk us through it. So Mamelato is from the Departments of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment. I'll hand over to you, Mamelato.
Thank you very much, Tobeka. Good morning, everyone. Can you be able to hear me?
Yes, Mamelato, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Lerato. First of all, I would like to apologize. We had a challenge while in the building. There was a positive case, so we were told to leave. But nevertheless, we managed to connect. I'm not alone. I'm with my supervisor, Siposi Banyoni, and I will be sharing information with you regarding the Environmental Crime and Incident Hotline. Next slide, please. Can you be, yes. My presentation will be covering, basically, I'll introduce you to how we got about having the hotline within the department. I will share with you some operating procedures that we are currently using to ensure that everything goes as possible. There's, of course, a guideline that we also follow, and I'll share with you again the type of complaints that we normally receive through the hotline, together with the challenges and the benefit that we think we find the portal. Next slide. As I've already been introduced, that I'm from DFFE. We are in the branch Regulatory Compliance and Sector Monitoring. Within the branch, there is different chief directorate, and we are based within the chief directorate enforcement, with our chief director being Ms. Francis Craig, and the director is Mr. Mark Jardine, and my supervisor, Sipo, is the Control Environmental Officer, Grade B. And I'm right at the bottom of the structure. I'm a Control Environmental Officer, Grade A, previously known as Assistant Director. Next slide. With the hotline being in place, the department was tasked to appoint an independent service provider to manage the hotline on behalf of the department. As we all know that in government, we do have a specific time of coming through to work and knocking off. So we wanted something that would show that is available all the time so that member of can be able to report complaints whenever they wanted. So the first independent service provider that was appointed by the department is Deloitte, and they rendered the service from 2005 until 2015. And with some engagement with the supply chain management, we were advised to test other market. So that's when Vuvuzela Hotline came into the department to render the service for us. Currently, we are still with Vuvuzela, but then as from end of July, we'll be getting a new service provider because their contract is ending. Therefore, my role as a control environmental officer is to ensure the coordination of complaints received by the hotline. Next slide. We thought of ensuring that we have an effective hotline that will be available for 24 hours for the whole year, even including public holidays. So the Vuvuzela hotline is responsible for filing the report that the complaint through the information that they receive from the complainant. And for them to do that, we, prior their appointment as the provider, we kind of like developed a template, a standard template that they can use to question the complainant when they are reporting alleged environmental transgression. So the hotline will compile the report and they will generate a reference number. The report will be sent through to me, and I'll be responsible to review and check what is actually the concern that has been raised on complaint. Next slide. Immediately after reviewing the report, then I will register it. We do have a system within the department. It's called National Compliance and Enforcement Information System. The system will also generate another reference number that can be used by the complainant in case they want to follow up regarding their complaint. And there will be an automated acknowledgement letter. It depends if from the report that we from the hotline, there is an email address. Immediately when you register a complaint on the system, it will include the email address and it will send an automated acknowledgement to the complainant, and also include the contact detail of the official that they can contact in case they up. I'm responsible for feeding back to the complainant, and it depends because we not only receive complaints that are attended to by officials within the department, we also have some complaints that we need to refer to our sister department like DMR and DWS. So when a complaint has been attended internally, I'll be responsible for drafting the formal feedback letter. And if it's something that has been referred to either DWS or DMR, I will either call the complainant to share the contact details of that official with the department, or I will email, depending. But then what happened is that sometimes you find that the complainant did not provide any other, we don't have the email address and we don't have the telephone number. So we rather wait for them to contact the department. And then that's when we'll advise them to liaise with the relevant department. Once everything has been completed, the investigation has been done, I'll be responsible for the complaint on the system. However, in this case, it depends if the complaint, let's say I refer something internally to compliance monitoring, because each and every complaint that comes through will go to compliance monitoring. They will go on site and do the inspection, and they will send through the site inspection report with the recommendation. If it's something that has to be referred further to enforcement, I will just call the complainant to indicate that the matter has been referred to enforcement. But if the recommendation is that it has to be closed, then that's when I draft the feedback letter, depending on the circumstance as to how the complaint was handled. Next slide. As I've already indicated that we are responsible for the hotline, but at the same time, the responsibility of protecting the environment, something that we share amongst other departments, is a concurrent function, as according to the Constitution of South Africa, Schedule 4. There are if I recall very well, there's part A and part B where they put a list of things that we can work together to protect the environment, like protect certain aspects of the environment. DMR also have their role, as well as the province and the local municipality. So we developed the referral and the reporting protocol. It was developed in 2007. The purpose is to provide the procedure for responding to complaints received by the hotline. Right. With the protocol being in place, it actually helped us because we are able to engage with various spheres of government, like we avoid duplication. We don't want a situation wherein an official from the national department is on the scene to attend the complaint. And when upon arrival, they find other officials from the municipality or the province on the scene as well attending the very same complaint. So the protocol, in a way, it guides us, it allows us to communicate with the province and the municipality if there's a complaint that has been reported to the department. The protocol was, no, can you please go back to the previous slide? The protocol was reviewed in 2010 because there were some loopholes that were observed while implementing it. And in 2019, also tried to review the protocol because at the national department, within the branch, we have officials, the environmental management inspectors that are dealing with the biodiversity matters. So we are trying to cater for them on the protocol as well. Can go to the next slide. These are the type of complaints that we receive from the hotline. I'm not gonna go through the whole list. I'll just pick one and make an example so that it can be clear. It can be clear as to what kind of, like for instance, there's air pollution. 2017, 2018, we had 74. And on the financial year 2018, 2019, we had 83, and 2019, 2020, we had 200, making a total of 357. So what we do, as I've indicated that I'm not working alone, I'm with my supervisor, is the one who helps us to extract the information from our system so that we can be able to track down how is the complaint, is increasing, is it decreasing, and what could be the risk such. But all in all, what you see on the table is various complaints that were received by the hotline, and they were referred according to different departments, either the province or municipality, as well as DMR or Water and Sanitation. But I would like to just get another example so that it can be clear. Let's say how we determine where to take a complaint. It goes back to the referral and the reporting protocol that I spoke about earlier on. Let's say there's an illegal development done by a private person within Gauteng. We'll know that we have to refer that to our provincial department, Gauteng Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. And for instance, if there's a complaint, illegal development that is currently happening, and the responsibility of that development, maybe it's a public entity like Eskom or Transnet, the complaint will be attended by an environmental management inspector with the DFE. Next slide. This relates to the previous table. We are just trying to put things in figures there so that we can be clear who was responsible for what. My apology, we were previously called Environmental Affairs. As you can see my presentation there, we are still getting used to the new name DFFE. Pardon me for that. And from the table, you can see that 2017, 2018, DIA dealt with 312 complaints. 42 were referred to Water and Sanitation. DMR had 224, and the rest 209 went to the local government, all the municipalities, the local government, the district and the local municipality. Next slide. These are the challenges that we have currently. We have quite a lot. I'm even embarrassed a bit because I could tell that other departments, they didn't have many as we had. Maybe it's because we are at the national level and we are receiving complaints from various complainants, and some of them they have to be referred to other departments. We are experiencing a challenge because there's lack of communication from other departments. Sometimes when we refer complaints, we don't get feedback. We are not even updated about the progress. And the challenge with this one is that members of the public sometimes we should just put ourselves in their shoes. They don't know who's responsible for what. Whenever they're frustrated, they see something happening on the environment, the first thing that they will call the hotline and they want the complaint to be attended. Not gonna go back to a member of the public and say the matter was referred to the province. The fact that they reported the matter to the hotline that is based in the national department, they want feedback from us. So we are struggling a bit to get that feedback that we can share the feedback with the complainant. And again, we are not kind of like responsible. We have no control over the response from other organs of state. And we always encourage them to say that immediately when we have referred a complaint, ensure that you get hold of the complainant and notify them that you are busy dealing with them. And otherwise, it becomes a serious challenge that they're experiencing. Another challenge that we're experiencing with capacity within the province, the local municipality. We are well aware that as a country, we are not doing quite well, and some of the posts, unfortunately, end up not being advertised. So the province is struggling a bit, and sometimes they will need national department to intervene in order to deal with complaints that have already been referred. One thing that while I was working with the hotline, I could pick up that there seem to be a lot of members of the public, even though the hotline has been there for some time, they are not aware of our hotline. And it becomes a problem because when they to report complaint, they don't know to go. Lastly, but not least, according to the protocol, we are supposed to register each and every complaint within 3 days. It is very impractical because of the scope. Back then, when the hotline was established, there were not many complaints coming through, but recently we are receiving quite a lot of complaints, and we cannot deal with it all within 3 days. The last thing is that we have an option when members of the public report complaints, they are not obliged to share their contact details. So most of them, they opt to remain anonymous, but it becomes a challenge when we're supposed to be giving them feedback because they are nowhere to be found. And they always think that we are not doing anything about their complaint, of which is not true. We really make sure that we refer the complaint and we are willing to give feedback. The challenge is that they are not nowhere to be found. The next slide. The benefit from the portal, we are hoping that it will bridge a gap and help us to create awareness, as we have already indicated that the hotline has been there for some time, but it seems as if members of the public are not aware of it. So we are hopeful with this approach. And from our director, he said we should send our gratitude to the press and show that we support this process, make it a success. Thank you. I think that's all from my side. That is my contact details. There is our little rhino. At least the horn is still there. Our hotline number is 0800 205 005. My contact is also included there. If anyone needs clarity or they can't get hold of the hotline, they're more than welcome to call me on my mobile number. It's a work number, 066 283 202. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Mamilatu. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate the great feedback that we received from you. And of course, for just sharing all the contact details, which we will supply as well to everybody that's here. And I think now we have got our Q&A session that's starting. We do have a lot of questions that have started coming up. And I maybe should just start here, should note that Sipho has had a hand up for a while. And maybe we'll start there. Sipho, you have a question for us? Sipho?
Yes, good morning, colleagues. Sorry, I was talking while the line is muted. I think it was just a mistake. didn't have a question. I think maybe we accidentally pressed the hand by mistake.
No worries. Okay, so we have got a question here that came in that asked, as Goldfields Community Forum, we would like to be a part of this movement. We are based in Machabeng, Municipality Free State. We are also surrounded by the mines. Thank you, Daula, for your comment. Yes, please do follow us on social media, on our networks, as well as do report any violations that you may have. We have got a question here. Can the violation reports be made anonymously? And I would like to hand that over to Matume to just talk to us about the protection that the portal allows for communities. Over to you, Matume.
Thank you, Ratu. And I'm also noting the other questions that have been asked, and I will try to address some of those questions from the chat. So in terms of reporting violations anonymously, the short answer is yes. The Center for Environmental Rights, for as long as that we have been operating, we have been aware of some of the threats and risks that may come to environmental activists in pursuit of environmental justice, reporting environmental violations and the like. And with that recognition, what we have done on the portal is there is a box to tick if you would like to remain anonymous in reporting your environmental violations. And then some of the questions that I also would like to address is there was a question with regards to will the Center for Environmental Rights be escalating issues where government departments are not responsive? And a short answer to this question is that while the Center for Environmental Rights will not be escalating specific cases, what we will be doing is the portal itself will be gathering trends data, and we will be keeping an eye on this reporting and responses trends data. And we have spoken to the government departments that since this is a pilot of the portal, we are going to be constantly looking at user experiences and trying to improve the portal in itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at reporting and responses trends, and we will discuss these reporting and response trends with the relevant government departments, and we will then sit together and plan appropriate interventions as necessary. Some of the questions were related to specific cases like Goldfield, for example, and some things that people have reported. And in relation to these questions, I just want to, one, recognize the extraordinary nature of the relationship that we have established with the three government departments when coming up with this portal. It is successfully collaborative. We are working together very well. And this relationship, our hope is that this relationship will assist us to be able to sit together and to be able to look through one government's compliance monitoring and enforcement processes. And working together on these government monitoring and enforcement processes, we will be able to identify issues that some have already been identified by the speakers from the government departments, and we will work together in coming up with strategies and interventions to resolve some of these problems, to ensure that in future, some of the problems that have been raised in the questions of violations not being responded to or violations not being appropriately addressed are continuously and eventually addressed. The last question that I would like to deal with is a question in relation to the portal itself being a duplication of some of the work that has been done by the government departments. And in answering this question, I just want to remind colleagues that remember, the portal is here to bolster mechanisms that are already in place that have been set up by the relevant government departments. However, the portal also serves an important function of assisting users to articulate their environmental violations, to ensure that each environmental violations has all the appropriate and necessary information that the government department need in order to be able to assess and respond to that violation. It also, the portal also serves as a record, has a record keeping component, which means that users will have an exact paper trail of from the first day they reported the violation up until when they come back and follow up on their reported violation. And this sort of paper trail will be important for the user in later stages, can be used for advocacy for a particular issue, or it can also be used for litigation if that ever becomes necessary. And also, as indicated, the portal will also be storing trends data. And this trends data is what we're going to be using in discussion with the government departments in order to improve the overall compliance monitoring and enforcement mechanisms. One of the things that we are hoping to achieve with the portal is that, as Mamelado has indicated, that they have a challenge with capacity, is that once everyone is reporting their environmental violations to the correct channels through the portal, and we will have this data securely stored on the portal, and government can then be able to use this data to be able to request for additional resources in order to train more inspectors, in order to get more capacity within their compliance, monitoring and enforcement departments. Okay, and then I will hand over to my colleague, Tawega, to speak to the other questions. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Matome. I think you've answered all the questions that are related to us, but I see that some of them are directed to the departments. So maybe if our colleagues, they can answer some of them. There's one specifically asking about if someone lodges a complaint maybe to the DWS and DWS is not the competent authority, then what does the department do? So just to say upfront that we've tried to make sure that the portal itself is very self-explanatory so that people are able to lodge their complaints to the right departments. So we've tried very hard to make sure that people can know which departments to report to and they don't direct their complaints to the wrong departments. But I know that the departments do refer some of the complaints that are not supposed to be coming to them to the right authorities, as Mamelado has indicated. But I'll just let the departments themselves answer that question and maybe all the other questions that are being asked of them. Thanks.
So just to repeat that question, if, for example, if, for example, a violation is reported to the DWS and it finds out that that is not the authority to handle it, in a situation like that, what does the department do? Maybe I'll hand over to Philemon.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question. Yes, there are instances where a complaint can come to us, and you will find that it is falls within the responsible authority of a certain office. What we normally do, as I've indicated in the presentation, would refer that matter to that office, and then we'll give feedback to the complainant so that they can be well aware of the office that will be undertaking that matter. That's how basically we would refer it, so that you know, they can. The main thing is to ensure that the complainant is aware of the responsible person that will be taking the case. Thanks.
We thank you, Philemon. We have a question also here from Melissa Stridham asking regarding the comment of provincial and local capacity constraints. Where is the ball being dropped? And two, who do we address it with? Will the violations portal identify this? If not, is this not a critical research project in itself? Is there somebody from one of the departments that could answer this? Mamelato?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question? I'm sorry, we are connecting from the vehicle here and it's a bit hard. Please repeat the question.
Sure, no worries. This is really just about a bit of like capacity, you know, regarding capacity constraints that the department is often faced with. Where are the biggest challenges, and how is it? How are these issues being addressed? And of course, if the violations portal in itself, which is more for our colleagues, if the portal can help alleviate some of the capacity issues that the departments are facing.
As I've already indicated that it's for the for the province and the municipality to indicate to the national department if they're experiencing some capacity issues. But unfortunately, they don't even call us. When we follow up with them, they will just indicate that they could not deal with the complaint because they don't have officials to go on site. But we are open at the national department. We always tell them that they need to engage us. And if they cannot deal with a complaint, then we'll do some arrangement internally so that the national officials can go and attend. But it's a bit difficult because the municipality and the province, they don't come forth to tell us that they're experiencing the challenge. We only get to hear about it when we follow up, when we want feedback, and that's when they tell us that we could not deal with it due to that challenge. However, we always encourage them to speak to us when they need help. Maybe we'll have someone from the national department to go and assist. So I don't think at the portal level, you can be able to do that. Rather, maybe I'm not sure if there will be a clause or a part where maybe when we are experiencing challenges, we can be able to go back on the portal to say that unfortunately the province could not deal with because of capacity constraints. I'm not sure if I've answered the question.
Yes, thank you so much, Mamelato. I think the big thing that we're identifying here is the need to continue this conversation and to continue collaborating with the various departments to ensure that, you know, in some way the portal is able to assist with ensuring that the complaints and the violations are being reported adequately. There's a great question here. Maybe I can pass that on to Aron from Patrick, who's asking if any of the departments have had any big successes that they are proud of and that they would like to share with us. Aron, do you have a success story that you would like to share with us?
Okay, no, thank you very much. Yeah, certainly we do have, although I will not single out a specific case in this regard, but there are several instances where we have had perpetrators successfully convicted. You know, even this year, we have had a number of cases in that regard. And further to that, there are several cases wherein administratively the perpetrators had been issued with compliance notices, and we've seen huge level of success in that regard, in that the remediation measures which were put subsequent to that were largely effective in dealing with the violations that had initially been identified. And if you seek specific cases and cases where successful convictions were made, that we can gladly share that with you, and you can share with the colleagues here as well, they can be familiar with such. However, there are a number of them which as I said earlier on, I cannot single out a specific one. But yes, there are successful cases wherein complaints were lodged and they were successfully dealt with. Actually, most of them, they were dealt with in that manner. Although I should admit that there are still some which there were shortcomings and I was not satisfied with the manner in which ultimately they were resolved, although investigations are still underway in respect of those. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aron. And there's just a question here about, the statistics of violations that are being reported. How are compliance and enforcement statistics reported to the public by each department? And how does the public know how many cases are being reported, investigated, and enforced, are not being enforced? So this, I guess, is a question around transparency. If people just want to see, Mamela, you had a great, as part of your slide, you had put up some numbers there. And so I wonder if there's anywhere on the department's websites where people can actually start seeing the statistics of the reports and the enforcement taking place. Philemon, do you have some space to maybe answer that for us?
Can C4 go take that one?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, colleagues. I think maybe to start in answering this question is that at the department of Forestry, Fishery and Environment, we are the chair in relation to one of the structure where all the environmental management official seats, which is, we call it a working group 4, where all these environmental departments, they come and discuss issues that relate to your compliance and enforcement issues. So on an annual basis, one of the key activities in terms of our performance is to produce a report that we normally call it a National Environmental Compliance and Enforcement Report. And in that report, we outline all the cases, or we outline even all the statistics that we collected in that preceding financial year, and then we published it in our department website. We also circulate it to all our stakeholders. So I think members of the public, if they are interested in seeing or in reviewing any cases that had a significant impact to the environment, you can go through to that report and you will be able to see in terms of how many cases did KZN investigated in a financial year, and how many cases were they went through the trial, the court proceedings, and how many were issues that relates to your administrative and notices were issued. So we, as I've said, we publish that report on an annual basis. We are right now we are finalizing for the report for the last financial year, but just to indicate that at any given time, as Mamilat has indicated, that if maybe there's a case, maybe there's one case that a member of the public is interested in, and he wants to know what was the outcome or what was the judgment. If the information is available, that information can be freely given to that particular individual. So yeah, I think that's basically that is it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, And I'm not sure if there's any other comments from the departments just regarding, statistics and the publication of it or not. Is there anything else that anyone from the departments would like to add as we head towards a closing?
Hi, Lerato. Can I just provide inputs in terms of the statistics, in terms of the information, what the department is doing with regards to this issue we're talking about?
Yes, please go ahead, Philemon.
National Integrated Water Information System.
Hi, Philemon. Oh, we seem to have lost your audio there, Philemon. I hope you can come back. If not, please do share your final thoughts with us. Just doing a bit of a time check here. This has really been a very exciting launch and really a great discussion as well. We're really excited to have had all the departments come and join us, our partners who have joined us, and of course, our community activists who have been here with us. And I think just last question that I would like to take is, seeing that people tend to get very cynical about, hotlines and complaints not being responded to. I wonder if Matome Tobeka could take this. How will the portal be viewed to make sure that effective responses are forthcoming, which I think is really the crux of why this platform was established. Maybe Matome, you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Lerato. I'll take that one. Okay, cool. So we will be reviewing the portal quite regularly, firstly to see its effectiveness and also to just track the reports and the responses to the reports themselves. And we will be using this as a way to engage the departments themselves, because we've already started this collaboration where we're engaging each other on the development of the portal. And we found that it was very, it was great, to hear from the departments how their systems work and what challenges that they have. So when we do our reports, when tracking the effectiveness and the responses to the portal, we'll use this as an opportunity to kind of just sit down with the departments regularly and see where the gaps are and see how we can collaborate to make responses more effective going forward. So just to end it off on that note, that we'll continue working with all the departments and see how we can make things better all around. Thank you.
The unmute button. Thank you so much, Tobeka, and thank you to all our guests. And of course, before we do our final closing, we'd just like to show you once again the portal itself and play you an animation of how to actually make use of the portal. So here's another demonstration of how to use the website.
Isigaba sama-24 somthethosisekelo waseNingizimu Afrika sithi wonke umuntu unelungelo lemvelo engayona ubungozi empilweni nakwinhlalakahle. Ingabe wena noma umphakathi wakho nihlangabezana nokwephulwa kwemithetho yezemvelo eba ubungozi futhi ethinta amalungelo akho alotshwe esigabeni sama-24? I-Center for Environmental Rights isiyethule ithuluzi lokubika ukuphulwa kwemithetho yezemvelo kwiminyango yezimayini, yezemvelo nomnyango wamanzi. Umnyango wezimayini umnyango kazwelonke eNingizimu Afrika obhekene nokuphatha umkhakha wezimayini eNingizimu Afrika. Uphinde ubhekelele ukugujwa nokusetshenziswa kwamaminerali akulelizwe. Lo mnyango uphinde ubhekane nokuqapha nokuqinisa ukuhambisana nemithetho yezemvelo elawula ezezimayini. Umnyango wezemvelo ubhekene nokuvikela, ukonga nokwenza ngcono imvelo nendalo yaseNingizimu Afrika. Lo mnyango uphinde ubhekane nokuqapha nokuqinisa ukuhambisana nayo yonke imithetho yezemvelo kazwelonke. Umnyango wamanzi ungumgcini wamanzi aseNingizimu Afrika. Lo mnyango ulwela ukuqiniseka ukuthi onke amalunga aseNingizimu Afrika athola amanzi ahlanzekile. Lo mnyango uphinde ubhekane nokuqapha nokuqinisa ukuhambisana kwemithetho yamanzi. Leli thuluzi lokubika ukuphula kwemithetho lenziwe libambisene nale minyango yomthathu. Ukuze ubike ukuphula komthetho kumele wenze lokhu okulandelayo. Hamba uye ku www.cer.org.za/report-violation. Ingabe umbiko wakho uthinta ezezimayini? Uma kunjalo, toboza u-Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. Ingabe umbiko wakho uthinta izinto eziphathelane nokulahlwa kadoti ngokungemthetho, intuthuko engekho emthethweni, ukungcola komoya, udoti owubungozi, ukufuya kwezilwane zasendle ngokungemthetho, noma ukuzingela ngokungemthetho, njalo njalo. Toboza u-Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Noma ufonele u-0800 205 005. Noma umbiko wakho uthinta ezamanzi, toboza u-Department of Water and Sanitation. Noma ufonele u-0800 200 200. Faka imininingwane eminingi ngokwanele uma usugcwalisa ifomu. Ngaphansi kuka-what, chaza ukuphulwa komthetho noma isikhalazo sakho. Faka nezithombe ezibonisa isikhalazo nokuphulwa komthetho. Ngaphansi kuka-where, faka imininingwane etshengisa ukuthi isikhalazo sakho senzeke kuphi, yini igama lendawo noma lomphakathi wakho. Ngaphansi kuka-when, chaza ukuthi isigameko senzeke nini. Faka nezinsuku ezenzeke ngazo lezi zigameko makungenzeka. Ngaphansi kuka-who, faka imininingwane yomuntu noma inkampani eyenza lesi sigameko. Ngaphansi kuka-impacts, chaza ukuthi lokhu ukuphula komthetho kunomthelela muni kuwe noma kumphakathi wakho. Faka yonke imininingwane yakho ukwenzela ukuthi iminyango efanele ikwazi ukukuthinta mangabe kunesidingo. Uma ungafuni ukwaziwa, ungatoboza kuleli bhokisi. Sicela uqiniseke ukuthi uligcwalise lonke ifomu ngaphambi kokuba ulihambise. Emva kokuba ulihambise ifomu, uzothola i-mail ehambisana ne-reference ne-password ozoyisebenzisa ukuze ubheke umbiko wakho noma ulandelele umbiko wakho uma kungenzeka ukuthi impendulo awuyitholi umnyango obike kuwo. Umbiko wakho usuhambile waya kumnyango owukhethile. Siyabonga ngokumela ilungelo lakho lwezemvelo. I-CER iyaleseka leli thuluzi lokubika ukuphula kwemthetho ukuze abantu basizakale ekubikeni ngendlela elindelekile, ukufaka imininingwane efanele nokubika kumnyango okuwona wona. Yonke imbiko izoya kule minyango ekhethiwe. I-CER ayingeni embikweni nasezingxoxweni eziphakathi kwababiki neminyango ekubikwe kuyo. Ukulandelelwa kwembiko mele kwenziwe neminyango efanele kusetshenziswe i-reference enikiwe.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining us. We have reached the closing of our event. Please do follow us and do look out on our website for any further details. Thank you all. Siyabonga.
Thank you.